Mabuhay Pilipinas! Hello buong mundo! Good day learners! Today is another opportunity for you to learn disciplines and ideas in the social sciences. I am Sir Greg, your Humanities and Social Sciences teacher, and I will guide you in today's lesson. Are you ready? Be sure that you are in your most comfortable learning spot. Have a copy of your self-learning module, activity sheet, notebook, and pen for noting important details. To strengthen your ideas with the basic concepts and principles of the major social science ideas, let us discuss them one by one. Psychoanalysis was developed by Dr. Sigmund Freud. He searches for the treatment of his patients with emotional problems. He designed a general theory of personality that aimed at explaining why people develop their unique patterns of typical behavior. According to Freud, there are 3 levels of consciousness and 3 components of the personality structure. This include the conscious mind, the preconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. The 3 components of the personality structure with varied functions are the id, the ego, and the superego. The mind is like an iceberg. The conscious mind is merely the tip visible above the surface, whereas the bulk of the important workings of the mind lurks mysteriously beneath the surface. Just below the surface is what Freud dubbed as the preconscious mind. It consists memories that are not presently conscious but can easily be brought into consciousness. The contents of the preconscious were once conscious and can be returned to consciousness when needed. Further down from consciousness lies in the unconscious mind. It stores primitive instinctual motives plus memories and emotions that are so threatening to the conscious mind that they have been unconsciously pushed into the unconscious mind through the process of repression. The contents of the unconscious mind, unlike the preconscious mind, are not normally accessible to consciousness. They can rarely be made fully conscious and then only with great difficulty. The best known aspect of Freud's theory was his view that the mind is composed of the id, the ego, and the superego, related to each other but of different functions. The id, or the unconscious self, it is the only component of personality that is present from birth. This aspect of personality is entirely unconscious and includes instinctive and primitive behaviors. The ego, or the conscious and rational self, it functions in the conscious, preconscious, and unconscious mind. It is the component of personality that is responsible for dealing with reality. And the superego, or the conscience, it holds the internalized moral standards and ideals that we acquire from our parents and society. It is our sense of right and wrong, and it provides guidelines for making judgments. On the other hand, social interaction can be considered as social exchange, which is patterned on economic action that people are motivated by the rewards and costs of actions and by the profits that they can get at the lowest possible costs. People make decisions based on what would give them the greatest satisfaction at the possible lowest costs. It is an economic principle that asserts that individuals often make wise and logical decisions. The said decisions give an individual with the greatest satisfaction and suit his highest self-interests. Most conventional academic assumptions and theories are anchored on rational choice theory. This theory assumes that all people try to actively maximize their advantage in any situation and therefore consistently try to mitigate their losses. It is grounded on the idea that all humans base their decisions on rational calculations, act with rationality when choosing, and aims to increase pleasure or profit. It also states that all complex social phenomena are geared by individual human actions. It is also called rational action theory or choice theory. It is based on assumption that individuals select a course of action that is most in line with their personal preferences. It is used to model human decision-making, especially in the field of microeconomics, where it helps economists further understand the behavior of a society in terms of individual actions as explained through rationality, in which choices are consistent because they are made according to personal preference. This said theory increasingly is applied to other areas as well as including evolutionary theory, political science, and warfare. The main assumptions of rational choice theory include individuals must make choices in relation to both their goals and the means for attaining these goals. Individuals must anticipate the outcomes of alternative courses of action and calculate that which will be the best for them. And rational individuals choose the alternative that is likely to give them the greatest satisfaction. The social sciences have defined institutions as an opposition to nature, creations of men and women. Institutions order social, political, economic, and even cultural intercourse. Institutions constitute the very basis for human interaction. Institutions are patterns, routines, norms, rules, and schemes that govern and direct social thought and action. Institutionalism is an approach that aims to understand and analyze how actions, thoughts, and meanings penetrate into the social consciousness deeply enough to embed themselves into the social psyche. There are different types of institutionalism, but their common concern is to find out the effects of these institutions and determine how these affect the manner by which the society functions. Institutionalism claims that institutions persist because of the reason that they came about in the first place: social legitimacy and survival through. An institution such as education persists because a person would have a bleak future without it. Being educated means having the potential to ascend social hierarchies and organizational structures, which in turn affect the economic prosperity of the person and survival in a capitalist market. Institutions provide social legitimacy and survival through isomorphism. Isomorphism refers to similarity in form, shape, or structure. Institutions arise, change, and persist due to their regulative, normative, and cognitive functions. These functions are isomorphic in nature as they adopt in form, shape, or structure to provide social legitimacy, survival, or both. The functions of institutions include regulative function. It operates through coercive isomorphism, which places value on expediency as an effect of compliance. Change either happens or not depending on external factors such as the rules and laws. Normative function. It operates through normative isomorphism, which places value on complying with social obligations. Change either happens or not, depending on external factors such as accreditations and certifications. And cognitive function. It operates through mimetic isomorphism, which places value on what is being complied with by others. Change either happens or not, depending on internal factors such as uncertainty and prevalence of others' performance. Institutionalism at its core studies how institutions achieve balance and stability as they manipulate their different regulative, normative, and cognitive functions. The dynamics that happen when these three functions try to meet or comply with environmental and organizational structures is where institutionalism as a theory presents itself as a model for research analysis. Formal institutions are codified rules, policies, and norms that are considered official, originating from state, laws, government, or organizations. Informal institutions are equally known rules and norms but are not commonly written down. There are social practices that there have been commonly viewed as acceptable and are more persistent than codified laws like that of formal institutions. One aspect of institutionalism studies how formal and informal institutions affect the very society that created them and how the society behaves to either conform to or break established rules. It also studies conflict or congruence between formal and informal institutions. Institutional actors, on the other hand, refers to the people who make up society, whose actions are controlled and regulated by institutions. It can be an individual, a group, an organization, or a government that creates or follows rules. It does not simply denote people or organizations in the perspective of institutionalism. It represents a series of underlying questions about perception, individuality, identity, and self. And it represents interactions of multiple entities, or in game theory, players, and is often referred to as the constellation of actors. Feminism studies gender and its relation to power in the dynamics these two concepts play out in economics, politics, sexuality, race, and nationality, among others. It is both a sociological perspective and a philosophy that aims to promote gender equality, social justice, and women's rights. The primary concern that feminism tries to address is the oppression of women in society and the patriarchal structure of most societies. Feminism developed in three waves. Each movement addressed a particular issue, which women struggled with at that time. First wave, from 19th and 20th centuries, challenged the legal issues concerning women, such as surrendering properties to their husbands. They were not allowed to hold public office and were not given the rights of suffrage. Women advocated the right to choose their own profession. Women become as productive as men in the workforce. Second wave, from 1960s up to the 1990s, was born out of the civil rights movement, and this movement tried to address sexual equality and reproductive rights, distinguish sex from gender. The objectification of women was most evident in beauty pageants. Third wave, late 1980s and continues until today, do not consider feminine objects as artifacts of male oppression, but as old tools to enrich their feminists. Women continuously advocate for their right to individuality in whatever form or shape. A woman does not have to pretend like a man or hold herself from putting on makeup just to be treated as equals. Gender ideology is also actualized in how toys are determined for children. Action figures are supposed to be played by young boys, while dolls are to be played by girls. A boy playing with a doll is mocked as being gay. A girl playing toy gun is teased as a lesbian. It is evident that at this early stage of development, children's perception of gender roles is already being affirmed and established. The gender ideology in children's play evolves in adulthood as gender bias and prejudices further reinforce inequality. Hermeneutical phenomenology is a philosophy and a method of interpreting human experiences as a means to understand the question of what is to be human. This was developed by Martin Heidegger as a continuation and divergence from phenomenology, the philosophy developed by his mentor and colleague Edmund Husserl. Hermeneutical phenomenology seeks the truth in things as experience in the world. However, it attempts to see the truth in things as a means to understand what it is to be human. Heidegger's phenomenological approach attempts to interpret experiences of the world to find truths, which can be used to learn about human existence or being. Heidegger states that humans are born in a particular historical period, country, community, and background. The human mind is shaped by these factors and is therefore constitutive of how we experience and interpret the world. Rather than description, hermeneutical phenomenology is more concerned with how experiences are interpreted and how they generate meaning. The question of hermeneutical phenomenology is what the revelation of the thing means for you. The reflections made from experiences are affected by worldviews, which in turn would be constitutive of future experiences. This is what Heidegger calls hermeneutic circle, or the process wherein one's influences affects his or her experiences of the world, which would then create other influences that would affect experiencing the world. One of the major challenges of our time is exploring the impact of human activity to our natural environment and on ways in which each system affects one another. More than 1,000 animal and plant species have gone extinct because of human activities in the last 100 years alone, as overpopulation, overgrazing, overcropping, deforestation, desertification, and pollution have created a tremendous impact on the environment. We are already experiencing the consequence of this impact. Among the consequences of these human activities are climate change and global warming. Human environment systems deals with the study of the complex interactions among human and environment systems. It is considered as an interdisciplinary approach in the social sciences that connects the gap between and fuse knowledge from the social sciences and natural sciences within one framework in the study of environmental and social issues. The interaction of human systems with corresponding environmental or technological systems describe the reciprocal dependence as two different systems that exist in essential dependencies and reciprocal endorsement. The use of the term human systems or social systems ranging from society to individuals can be traced as far as back as the time of the ancient Greeks. The use of the term environmental systems, on the other hand, began late in the early 19th century. Human systems are the various institutions and activities humans created in society that includes agriculture, culture, government policies, industrial waste management, tradition, and urbanization. Environment systems are biological, ecological, and living and non-living natural systems in our planet that includes the animal and plant life, biodiversity of Earth, global weather systems, and landscapes. The human environment systems, also referred to as the coupled human environment system or the coupled human and natural system, accepts the certainty that humans as users, actors, and managers are not external but essential elements of the human environment system. As essential part of the human environment system being the users, actors, and managers, they become duty bearers who must share the responsibility for the sustainability of the human environment system. Here are the key concepts in human environment systems. Sense of place refers to the development of meaning or association with a given location. It is an attachment to a particular environment and deepened by its history, to writings about it, and the experiences of a person. Some of these are codified, such as historical landmarks, heritage sites, or even places given special names by a person, groups, or community. Mental map refers to the mental representation of things and people of a given location. It is created by the memory's identification of the physical features of a particular place. A better focus of the mental image is also reached when objects and people are associated to the place. Primary landscape are the themes, attachments, memories, and emotions we hold for places create a sense of place for us is the world. The place where we grew up is what human geographers considered as our primary and is the basis for our experience of new places. It is from the primary landscape that we compare new places we visit, and the memories and emotions we attach to it will be transposed to the new environment and bring a new sense of place. Spatial distribution refers to the distribution of anything that exists on Earth that can be mapped out and observed through the spatial processes. It maps out natural and physical aspects such as cities, temperature, and weather. It observes cultural aspects such as language, nationality, gender, and religion. It studies the distribution of how human systems affect environmental systems such as soil erosion, animal and plant extinction due to deforestation, and air pollution due to factory fumes. And spatial process. It is the underlying structure responsible for the spatial distribution of things. The physical distribution of mountain ranges can be attributed to the tectonic shifts, while their cultural distribution can be attributed to the systems affecting human needs is a concrete example for this. Here are the key points of our lesson. Dr. Sigmund Freud designed a general theory of personality that aimed at explaining why people develop their unique patterns of typical behavior called psychoanalysis. Rational choice theory is grounded on the idea that all humans base their decisions on rational calculations, act with rationality when choosing, and aims to increase pleasure or profit. Institutionalism is an approach that aims to understand and analyze how actions, thoughts, and meanings penetrate into the social consciousness deeply enough to embed themselves into the social psyche. Feminism studies gender and its relation to power and the dynamics these two concepts play out in economics, politics, sexuality, race, and nationality, among others. And the human environment system is considered as an interdisciplinary approach in the social sciences that connects the gap between and fuse knowledge from the social sciences and natural sciences within one framework in the study of environmental and social issues. Before we end, challenge yourself by answering the checkpoint activity. Read the questions carefully and choose the letter of the correct answer. Item number 1. Institutions are classified into two, the formal and informal. What specific formal institution codifies rules, policies, and norms that are considered official and originating from the state? A. Church. B. Family. C. Government. D. School. Kindly write down your answer. Item number 2. In hermeneutical phenomenology, data analysis is important because of the following reasons except A. It provides learning about the world. B. It can be thoroughly applied to any social sciences. C. It provides a catalyst for which reflection and interpretation results in meaning. D. Findings and conclusions of the research would become new influences for the researcher. Kindly write down your answer. Let us continue with item number 3. In psychoanalysis, what does not consider reality as it only demands what it wants without reason or logic? A. Alter ego. B. Ego. C. Id. D. Superego. Kindly write down your answer. Item number 4. Which of the following is not a characteristic of feminist theory? A. Feminist theory is multicultural in orientation. B. Feminist theory promotes activism on behalf of women. C. Feminist theory treats women as the central subject of investigation. D. Feminist theory advocates a linear understanding of the historical experiences of women. Kindly write down your answer. And finally, item number 5. The main core of human environment systems holds that society shapes nature and that nature shapes society. What does it mean? A. Human beings must live in a peaceful society. B. Human beings are responsible to preserve our nature. C. Human beings are created by God who provided all the natural resources. D. Human beings mind to take care of our environment so that we live in a comfortable society. Kindly write down your answer. Here are the answers. Item number 1 C, item number 2 A, item number 3 C, item number 4 A, and item number 5 D. Good job, learners! That concludes our lesson. I hope you have learned something and remembered all the important details of our lesson. If ever you forget, you may watch this video again until you master it. Please be reminded to accomplish all the remaining tasks in your self-learning module and in your activity sheet. Keep safe and see you in our next learning session.